Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Halloween month. If you're new here, hi, my name's Adi. So happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell to get notified every time I post a new video. So today we're taking it back to the 1800s again. We are going to be talking about the infamous serial killer Belle Gunness. So Belle Gunness was born Brynhild Paulsdottir in Selbu, Norway on November 11th, 1859. They lived in a farm owned by the Storseth family, and she was the youngest out of 8 kids. And at the age of 14, Belle started working at neighboring farms, milking and herding cattle, trying to save enough money so she could move to the United States. And finally, in 1881, at the age of 21, she made her big move. And when she first arrived to the United States, she changed her first name to Belle and her last name to Patterson. She joined her sister Nellie. Her sister had already migrated to the United States a few years back, so she moved in with Nellie and her husband, and she got a job as a servant and then a job at a butcher shop cutting up animal carcasses. In 1884, she married Mats Ditlev Anton Sorensen. Mats worked as a night security guard for Mandel Brothers department store, and the couple never had any children of their own, but they cared for several foster children. 2 of their foster children had died of colitis, and Belle had actually taken out life insurance on both of them, and she collected a big insurance check when they passed away. And when Belle's and Matt's home in Chicago burned down, they used that insurance money to buy a confectionery store, and when that store burned down, they used that money to buy a large home in Austin, Illinois. And on July 1900, Belle insisted that Matt's life insurance policy was too small, so he got a larger one, and mysteriously on July 30th, Matt died on the very day the 2 policies overlapped. Belle stated that Matt had come home with a headache, so she gave him some quinine powder, and later when she went to go check on him, he was gone. An investigation was conducted, but there was no proof that Belle had her husband, so she collected money from both life insurance policies, a total of $8,500. And now let's remember, this is in the 1800s, early 1900s, so $8,000 was a lot of money. And in November of 1901, with the money that she got from Matt's life insurances, she decided to move her and her foster children from Illinois to a 48-acre pig farm in LaPorte, Indiana. So when Belle and her children moved to the farm, she came into contact with an old friend, Peter Gunness, and after 2 months of courtship, in April 1st of 1902, they got married. Peter was from Wisconsin, and he had 2 daughters from a previous marriage. And within the first week of marriage, Peter's youngest daughter, Jenny, died of unknown causes while under Belle's care. And mysteriously, 8 months later, on December 16th of 1902, Peter also died of suspicious circumstances. According to Belle, Peter reached out for something on a high shelf and a meat grinder fell on him, smashing his skull. The death was investigated once again, but there was not enough proof to convict Belle of murder. And Belle collected $3,000 in insurance money for Peter's death. So after these 2 mysterious deaths, so soon after their marriage, Peter's brother Gus came and abducted Peter's oldest daughter to save her from Belle. So now Belle was alone again with her foster children, Myrtle, Lucy, and Philip. Her other foster child, Jenny Olsen, was born in Chicago on May 5th, 1890. Her mother, Sophia Olsen, had died on December 31st, 1890, when Jenny was only 8 months old. And after her mother died, Jenny's dad was left with 4 children under 8. So given that her dad knew Belle and her late husband, Mads, he trusted them to foster his baby girl, Jenny. Since Belle was a widow, once again, she hired several men to help her out at the farm. Emil Greening was hired in the fall of 1906, and he and Jenny Olsen actually became quite fond of each other. And in December, Belle told Emil that he would not be seeing Jenny as she was going to be sent to a Lutheran school in California, and Jenny was gone before Christmas. So Emil would ask Belle for Jenny's address, and Belle would tell him to just give her the letters and she would forward them to her. And after the disappointment of getting no response from Jenny, Emil moved west to New Mexico. And in August of 1907, Belle hired Ray Lamphere and they became lovers, and Ray hoped that they would marry so he could become a partner of the farm. But meanwhile, Belle had been placing marriage ads in the Chicago newspaper. Her ads read, "Wanted, a woman who owns a beautifully located and valuable farm in first-class condition. Wants a good and reliable man as partner, and some little cash is required and will be furnished first-class security." And surprisingly, a good number of men read Belle's ads and actually wrote her back, and she would reply to them and invite them to her farm. Henry Gerhold was the first. He made his way to Belle's farm in the spring of 1905. He was to follow Belle's rules: sell everything you own, bring only cash, sew it in your underclothes for safety, and do not tell anyone anything. Henry wrote his family saying that he liked the farm and was in good health. And after his family did not hear from him after that, his family contacted Belle. Belle told them Henry had gone off with horse traders to Chicago. Then in 1906, John Moe from Minnesota answered Belle's ad. They rode for several months, and then John withdrew a large amount of cash, made his way to the farm, and no one ever saw John again. Ole Budsberg from Wisconsin had lost his wife and his children were grown, so he decided to pay a visit to Belle's farm in March of 1907. He liked it, so he returned home to sell his farm to his oldest son and went back to Belle's farm with the cash, and he was never seen again. Andrew Helgelian had migrated in 1879 from Norway. He settled in South Dakota, and after he started his farm, his siblings migrated to South Dakota too. His brother Astley built a home across the lake from his brother Andrew. And on New Year's Day in 1908, Andrew told his brother Astley that he would be gone for a week to visit a woman in Indiana. And on January 2nd, 1908, Andrew left South Dakota and made his way to Belle's farm. He did not take cash as Belle instructed, but on January 10th, money was forwarded from Andrew's account in South Dakota to First National Bank in LaPorte. 4 days later, on January 14th, Belle and Andrew went to the First National Bank to cash the check, and Andrew disappeared the next day. So after the week passed that Andrew was supposed to return, his brother Astley became very concerned. So he contacted the LaPorte police, the sheriff, the First National Bank, and even Belle. The bank confirmed that Andrew had been there to cash the check, but Belle claimed that after he cashed the check, he left. By this point, Ray Lamphere had become very jealous of Belle's visitors, especially Andrew. So Belle fired Ray on February 3rd of 1908, but he refused to stay away from her farm. So Belle had him arrested for trespassing 4 times, and each time he was found guilty and fined. And on April 27th, Belle went to her attorney and insisted that her will be written and signed that day. Her will stated that her property would go to her 3 foster children unless they did not outlive her. It would go to a Norwegian children's home in Chicago. And on the following day, April 28th, Belle's employee Joe Maxton, whom she had hired after firing Ray, woke up to the smell of smoke. He realizes the house was on fire and he tried to wake Belle and the children up, but after not succeeding, he decided to grab his horse and head to town for the sheriff and fire department. And unfortunately, it was too late and the house burnt down. Now, because of his troubled past with Belle, the prime suspect for setting the house on fire was Ray. He was arrested for arson that morning, and if the bodies of Belle and the children were found in the remains of the fire, he would also be charged for murder. And around 10:30 in the morning, the sheriff and some neighboring men began digging to try to find Belle and the children. And around 3:45 p.m., they finally found the body of a woman and 3 children. It was discovered that the woman had no head. They continued searching for the missing head while the bodies were taken to the morgue. So after Andrew's brother Astley found out about the fire, he contacted the LaPorte police. And on May 2nd, 1908, he headed to LaPorte to investigate. He was hoping to learn something about his missing brother. And once he arrived, he and the sheriff went to the farm and began searching for clues in the basement, but sadly they did not find any clues. Astley was sure something bad had happened to his brother, so he returned to the farm once again, and with the help of Joe Maxton, they began digging in a soft spot near what had been made into a pen for pigs. And after digging down about 4 feet, the men discovered a gunny sack. So after opening the sack, they discovered 2 hands, 2 feet, and a head, and Astley recognized his brother immediately. So they quickly notified the sheriff and they began inspecting the property. And immediately to the right of the first grave, they found another. Jenny Olsen on what would have been her 18th birthday. In the same grave, 3 more bodies were found under hers, a man and 2 children. In each case, the body had been butchered in the same manner. The body decapitated, the arms removed from the shoulders, and the legs severed at the knees. The skulls were buried separately. By May 6th, a total of 13 bodies had been found on Belle's property, and it was obvious that Belle was responsible. Sadly, most of the remains were not identified. The news spread throughout the country and it sparked curiosity. By the following Sunday, it was estimated that between 10,000 and 15,000 people had come to LaPorte to observe what was going on at Belle's farm. It appeared that after receiving the cash from her victims, Belle would poison them with arsenic and strychnine. Then they would get drowsy. She would hit them over the head with a hammer, cracking their skull. Then she severed their heads and their limbs and fed them to her pigs. While being interrogated, Ray confessed that Belle had placed ads seeking male companionship only to rob and then murder the men. He said that Belle asked him to burn down the farmhouse with her children inside, and that the body they thought to be Belle's was actually a murder victim. He told investigators that the brother of one of the victims had warned Belle he was going to the farm to investigate his brother's disappearance, and this is what motivated Belle to destroy her house, fake her own death, and flee. Enough evidence was put together against Ryan Lanphier to go to trial, and trial began November 13th of 1908, and on Thanksgiving Day, November 26th, the jury found Ray guilty of arson, but not of murder. He was sentenced to 2 to 20 years, but he passed away the following year in jail of tuberculosis. And even though the doctor who performed Belle's post-mortem exam testified that the headless body was 5 inches shorter and about 50 pounds lighter than Belle was, she was still pronounced dead. And whether Belle died in that fire or escaped remains uncertain to this day. But reported sightings of Belle Gunness in the Chicago area continued long after she was declared dead. In 2008, DNA tests were performed on the headless corpse in an attempt to compare the DNA in the corpse against a sample from a letter Belle had sent to one of her victims. But due to its age, the sample was not able to be properly tested. So we will likely never know if Belle actually fled and got away with murder. After Belle's crimes came to light, the Gunness farm became a tourist attraction. Spectators came from across the country to see the mass graves, and concessions and souvenirs were sold. And more than $3,000 were raised in donations in order to buy gravestones for the unidentified victims. And a memorial service and dedication of the gravestones was held on Saturday, April 26th of 2008. And between 40 to 50 relatives of victims attended throughout the United States. So what do you guys think about this case, guys? I know it's pretty crazy and pretty gruesome. You seriously have to be sick in the head to feed somebody to your pigs. That's just so crazy. But leave your thoughts in the comments, and as always, remain respectful. I hope you guys have a happy and safe Halloween, and I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys. Bye.